What is up, everybody, and welcome back to the Mid-Level Media channel, your hub for everything physical media and entertainment. I am Ken, here today to review and talk about one of the latest Scream Factory releases, Deadly Friend, a film from 1986 directed by Wes Craven and starring Kristy Swanson. And I'm really excited to give my thoughts on this one, guys, because I just finished watching it before I came in here to review and talk about it with you guys. But before I get into it, I want to ask that if you are not yet a subscriber of the Mid-Level Media channel, what are you waiting for? There's a little red subscribe button down there. You see that subscribe button down there? It's right there. It's right there. I think I'm pointing to the right spot. Hit that subscribe button for more great content. I do all kinds of stuff on this channel, mostly centered around the world of physical media. New Blu-ray and 4K reviews. I do the Physical Media Report every single Monday where I clue you all in on all the latest happenings in the world of Blu-ray and 4K. I also do Blu-ray out and about videos every single Tuesday. I do collection hauls, just all kinds of physical media content in your face every single day on this channel. And I would definitely appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button. Also, be sure to like this video, guys, and also comment down below, have you seen Deadly Friend? Is this one of your favorite movies growing up in the 80s? I know a lot of people were talking about this movie, very excited about it when it was announced. Let me know in that comment section below. Are you a fan of this movie? Did you pick up this release? If you did pick up this release, I will be leaving a link for purchase in the description below if you do decide to pick it up based on my recommendation today. So let's get into talking about this movie, guys, because I would consider myself a pretty big fan of Wes Craven and his filmography. I have seen a lot of his films. I am familiar with a lot of the films that he has done, even the ones that I haven't seen. For some reason, this one kind of flew under the radar for me. I had never heard of this movie before it was announced by Scream Factory. And yeah, weird robot slasher movie from the mid-80s, directed by Wes Craven. Yeah, I just never heard of this movie before, but having now watched it, I do have some thoughts on it. It's a fun movie. It's a fun kind of cheesy, schlocky 80s, like I would say almost B-movie slasher flick. Definitely not up to par with Wes Craven and just his capabilities, I believe. It is kind of a strange choice doing this one right after A Nightmare on Elm Street, which I assume he may have had a movie in 1985 that I can't think of off the top of my head, but he did Nightmare on Elm Street in 1984, and then this movie was in 1986. So he was kind of riding that high of the success of creating the character of Freddy in A Nightmare on Elm Street, and then he does Deadly Friend, which has some interesting like production, some production notes along with it as well. Just some things that happened during the making of this movie that we'll get into here in a second. But as far as the Wes Craven filmography of all the movies of his that I've seen, this has to be in the lower tier. I did have a lot of fun with it. It just felt very basic, very bare bones. There's not a lot of meat to this story. It is pretty much a Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein type story. And I will say that kind of surprised me a little bit, because when I first kind of saw this cover and looked at it, I thought it was just like a robot slasher movie. I thought this robot was evil and he was killing people, and it was Kristy Swanson's robot or something. You know, I didn't pay attention to the coloring on it and just them two kind of going together, which is great artwork, by the way. But yeah, it's not like a robot slasher in the way that you think it is. It is more of that Bride of Frankenstein type story, which they actually say on the back of the Scream Factory case itself. But yeah, it's basically Kristy Swanson. She meets this boy. It's kind of like a coming of age, like 80s story. It's a very kind of sweet little romance, teen romance story, I would say, for the first 30 to 45 minutes of this film. You can tell she has something, some issues at home with her father. You know, her father's a single parent. Her mother died when she was young. Her father is abusive towards her, smacks her, stuff like that. He pushes her down the stairs because she was hanging out with the boy again, and he didn't like that. Of course, it's the classic, you know, overprotective father. So he pushes his daughter down the stairs, kind of by accident, but not really. He didn't intend to kill her. And she falls down, she hits her head, and she dies. Pretty much her brain starts hemorrhaging. So the boy, who was pretty much, you know, head over heels with her already, you know, goes to the hospital and plants the chip of his robot that he created in her brain. And basically she embodies his former pet robots, kind of like the essence of the robot. So when she comes back to life, she is Kristy Swanson, but she has none of the characteristics of that character, of her character in the movie. She is all like robot at that point, the robot of BB. So I guess I should have said the other part of the movie. So he creates the robot of BB. It's a really smart kid, the boy in the story, that's played by that's played by Matthew Labortux, which I'm probably butchering his name as well. He creates this robot. He's a super smart kid. The robot gets shot up because they throw a basketball in this mean old lady's porch, and she shoots the robot, kills the robot. So he has that chip from the robot, and he plants it into Kristy Swanson's brain. So he kind of, the kid kind of experiences some loss on both fronts with his new girlfriend and his pet robot, and decides to put them together. And then, of course, it's not a good combination, and then Kristy Swanson starts killing people as this maniacal robot. So, like I said, it's a fun slasher movie. If you don't take it too seriously, kind of like a B grade 80s horror cheese fest, camp fest from the 80s. So I did have a lot of fun with this movie. I did think that, it is very fun seeing Kristy Swanson in this type of role. Of course, I knew her growing up as Buffy the Vampire Slayer, as in the movie The Phantom with Billy Zane. I always loved her in that movie. Some other movies, Big Daddy and stuff like that. So I always had kind of a little crush on her growing up as a kid. So yeah, I'd never seen this movie before, but I did think she was really good in this movie. It's very silly, some of the parts, some of the things that she has to do. Like, she's pretty much doing the robot in this movie. Like, she is acting like a robot. Like, that's what she was instructed to do. And I do think it could come off a little goofy at times, but also I think she does a really good job with the material, kind of really acting like this robotic character slasher type villain of this story. So I think she does a good job. And yeah, like I said, I didn't know this was a Frankenstein type story. I thought it was just a robot slasher and they had to stop the robot. So it was kind of interesting that the robot got taken out very early, and then the personality of the robot got injected in this girl. So as far as the gore factor, the kills and stuff like that, they were good. There were some gruesome moments, in particular the basketball kill, which was completely ridiculous. And when it happened, I literally burst out laughing on the couch when I was watching it, like, because it's a rubber basketball, and she just throws it and the woman's head explodes all over the walls. It was freaking spectacular. I loved it. I should have took a video image of that, but that was a great kill. There's some other really good gore in this movie. So the boyfriend of the movie, his performance was a little all over the place to me. Like, he was experiencing all this loss and stuff. To me, it's, BB was kind of his friend, like his best friend. And when he died, he didn't, he showed a little bit of emotion right there at first, but then in the next scene, he's kissing Kristy Swanson in the driveway. So I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of the grief that he had to experience, because he loved that robot by all accounts. Like, you spend the first 30 minutes of the movie with him and the relationship with the robot. So to me, they didn't really sell that robot death enough. They just kind of took him out and moved on. But like I said, it's a fun 80s slasher movie if you don't take it too seriously. I like the movie overall, guys. I would give it, I give it a 3 out of 5. And the voice effects of BB were sounded a lot like a gremlin. So I would be curious to hear an interview with Wes Craven, which unfortunately we don't get that commentary or anything with this. I would love to hear Wes Craven's thought process behind making BB, the inspiration for what BB sounded like in this story, because he sounded a lot like a gremlin. So I would be interested if they use the same kind of sound effects for this character. And it's also funny that it's named BB, and then I would like to hear if, maybe J.J. Abrams took inspiration from Deadly Friend and named BB-8 after this robot, because they both got circular heads as well. So yeah, it's a fun movie. It's a 3 out of 5 to me. I enjoyed the movie overall. It's not great or nothing, but getting into the actual Scream Factory transfer itself. So this is a new 2K scan from the interpositive of the film. So I thought it was a really solid transfer. It's 1080p. It's 185:1 aspect ratio. Thought it was a solid transfer. I imagine that if you are a fan of this movie, this is the first time that this movie will be seen on Blu-ray. So it has not gotten a Blu-ray upgrade yet. So if you have the old DVD, I imagine you're going to be very happy with this transfer. It certainly looks better than DVD quality for sure. So yeah, first time on Blu-ray. I imagine a lot of people that are fans of this movie are going to be very happy. But yeah, I thought it was a nice, clean transfer. It has some good coloring. Obviously BB is yellow and stuff like that, so it looked really good. Some of the scenes outside looked really detailed, and I didn't notice a lot of grain or anything. It just looked like a nice, clean you know, crisp transfer, a solid transfer. Not the best that Scream Factory's ever done. I think that the Dead Zone is probably one of the best transfers as far as Blu-ray that I've seen that they've done in a long time. But it's a solid transfer. I think it's a very good one. I think a lot of people that are fans of this movie and wanted to see it in a better quality, picture quality, are really going to enjoy and be appreciative of. So as far as the audio, guys, it's a DTS HD master audio. No issues with the audio. For me, of course, I'm just listening to it on a soundbar, but you know, solid audio. It's the standard Scream Factory audio that they use for most of their Blu-ray releases. Getting into the packaging, guys, you got the artist Colin Murdoch who did the artwork on this one, and I want to start kind of trying to spotlight some of these artists that work on this. So this guy's relatively new to the Blu-ray artwork game. He's been doing poster artwork and stuff like that. I was looking at his Instagram profile. So he did this one. I think this was his first like big Blu-ray cover art. And I think he did a really solid job just really kind of portraying what this film is about, because you have the robot of BB kind of melding itself into Kristy Swanson's character and just kind of the fusing of those two together. So I think this is really cool artwork. Definitely maybe one of the better ones from this year, to be honest, or of the ones that I've seen from Scream Factory in a while. You got the cool like blood red at the bottom. So this is a really nice cover for this one. Of course, I'm going to show you the full unboxing. You have the reversible cover art and the you know, the original poster for the film when you flip it around. So obviously that's always a really big part of the Scream Factory packaging right there. And I always ask, guys, do you reverse your cover art when you get these cases? Because I always do. If I have a slip cover, I'm reversing that cover art. That way it's different when I take it out of the packaging. So it's got different images on the back of the flipped cover art as well, which is always really cool. The disc art is the original poster, which, you know, I would have rather, it is cool. It's got Kristy Swanson's eyes, like different colors, a robot eye in one of them. So it's the original poster. I would have liked to have seen the Scream Factory, you know, artwork on the disc, though, if I'm being nitpicky with it. But, you know, overall, guys, it's nice packaging. Scream Factory always does a really good job with their slip covers and everything. So as far as the special features, guys, I really enjoyed these special features. Unfortunately, you don't get that audio commentary that comes with a lot of these, because I don't think that they ever did one for this film when it was released on DVD or anything. So, you know, I would have loved to have had an audio commentary with Wes Craven. I wish he would have done it maybe back when this had a DVD release, because I would have loved to have seen some of his insights just on the production of this film and some of the things that happened with this production, because a lot of the actors and the production workers of this film go into it in all of their separate interviews, because you do get interviews with Kristy Swanson herself, which was actually really cool. Joel Rubin, who wrote it, and Charles Bernstein, who did the score and the special makeup effects, Lance Anderson, and they all talked about how this movie was not really supposed to be a schlocky B slasher film. Like, they kind of injected all that stuff at the last minute, because the original novel, Friend, was basically just kind of like a sci-fi coming-of-age teen romance story, and it really didn't have a lot of those slasher elements. Like, she wasn't really a killer in the actual story. They kind of just added that in there and then changed the title of the book Friend to Deadly Friend for the movie, and just kind of turned it into more of a straight up slasher, which I can kind of see when you're watching this movie, because it does have a very distinct kind of tone in the first 45 minutes, and then it just kind of takes a hard right turn and just kind of shifts into you know, the slasher territory. So I can kind of see where that tonal shift happens. So it's definitely kind of interesting. And, you know, by all accounts, like, everybody was taken by surprise by the change, and a lot of people didn't like it at the time. But then when the product came out, the actual finished product, I think everybody ended up kind of enjoying the experience and this film as a whole. So the really cool interview, though, with this one, guys, is with Kristy Swanson. I thought it was a great interview. I thought it was really cool that she came back to talk about this. She still looks like fantastic, by the way. She's probably about 51, 52 right now. But she was 16 when she did this movie. She talks about working with Wes Craven. And it was a really kind of sad moment in the interview where she kind of got a little bit choked up talking about Wes, because by all accounts, Wes was just one of the best human beings and people to work with in film. And, you know, she kind of got choked up when she was talking about Wes, and just kind of, this is one of her first films, and just how gentle he was of a hand and how easy he was to work with and how much he taught her and stuff like that. It was a really sweet moment that kind of honestly got me a little bit choked up when I watched it. But yeah, her interview was fantastic. It was the longest interview of all of these, and it was just, I always just think it's really cool when these actresses You know, because you can tell they're kind of a little bit, you know, fancy now. She's in a really nice location. She's dressed up all nice and proper. And she has to go back and talk about this schlocky B slasher movie that she did in the 80s. So I just think it's really cool when they get people like this to do interviews, and you know, Paris Hilton that did the one for House of Wax and stuff. So it was a cool interview. She seemed like a really cool, really humble, really appreciative of everybody that worked with her on this film and kind of ushered her into her acting career. So yeah, great interview. All the other interviews were great as well. You know, you got Charles Bernstein, which talked about the score to this movie. You know, he also did Nightmare on Elm Street, but I thought it was funny him talking about the score to this movie. This is a very strange score, especially when you get to some of the moments where they're just like saying the robot's name over and over again, like BB, BB, beep, 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 beep. Like it's a strange score. It's a good score though. I do dig it. I kind of want that as my ringtone now. But overall, guys, great special features. Just a really solid Scream Factory release as a whole. I think you can get this right now for $27.99. Could be wrong. Could have went up in price by now. But I will be leaving that link for purchase in the description below. I say overall, guys, it's a fun movie. It's a fun B-80s slasher movie. If you like those kind of movies, if you like this movie as a whole, like it's just, you know, it's a really solid transfer. Definitely the best way that you can watch this movie nowadays. Some solid special features. Packaging's great. So I do recommend getting this if you don't have it. It's a really good Scream Factory release and one that I'm definitely not disappointed with. So with that, guys, I appreciate you watching this review of Deadly Friend, the new Scream Factory release. Please like this video, guys. Comment down below your thoughts on this movie if you're going to pick this up based on my recommendation. Also, be sure to subscribe to my channel and turn on those bell notifications for all future videos. And we'll see you next time.